Okay, howdy doody y'all. We are over here at Creation Station. We're just going to get going today. We're going to talk about some powdered surfactants and what we can do with the powder surfactants. What are the differences between all of them? You can see that I already have them lined up here. The trifecta, as I like to call them. I always work in synergistically, always. I usually have two, most of the time three ingredients so that they are co-surfactants or co-emulsifiers. I just work that way. That's just the way I've always done it for over 2 decades now. So anywho, all right, so we've got our 3 powders here. What are the differences? First of all, they are all anionic, okay? Second of all, they are all derived from coconuts. So let's get that out of the way. They have different pHs, they have different usage levels, and they provide different things. So let's start off with the SCI. This comes in powder or noodle form. I'm going to show you some noodles of the SCS. I don't have any of the noodles of the SCI, but I do have them in the SCS. It's the same look, the same texture, same everything. They look like little sprinkles. That's what I use the noodles for, because I'm too lazy to grind this into the powder, so I just buy the powder. It's a little bit more expensive, but whatever. So you can just take these noodles and color this with mica and use that as your sprinkles. Okay, so getting back to the SCI, this is going to be more moisturizing than the other two, which makes this a really great component to use in your shampoo bars because we want a lot of moisture. Yes, we want to clean the scalp, but we don't want our hair to be all dried out either. So if you're going to be doing the shampoo bars, my personal suggestion is to use the SCI because it is proven to be a little bit more moisturizing than the other two. Works really good in hard water too, so that's another good plus when you're washing your hair. If you have hard water, this will rinse away nice and clean for you. Now the usage rate on the SCI is 3 to 20%, and you have a pH of roughly about 6.8 to 7 on the pH scale for your SCI. Now the SCI is somewhat water soluble. It is. It's soluble in water. It's just going to fight you a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of doing to get that mixed in and, solubilized inside of the water. If you wanted to make a paste out of this for a variety of different reasons, you could use 2 parts of the SCI to 3 parts of your cocoa betaine, and you'll make a lovely little bubbly little paste out of that. This is also grass, which is generally regarded as safe from the CIR. So that is everything having to do with the SCI. Let's move over now to the SCS. Oh, by the way, so SCI is sodium cocoyl isethionate, okay? SCS is sodium cocoa sulfate, all right? Also aniotic, I've already said that. They're all aniotic, they're all derived from coconut, so we won't repeat that. This has a 1 to 15% usage rate and 7.5 on the pH. So if you're going to use this in your formulations, it's a good idea to use a co-surfactant with this. That will also bring the pH level down just a little bit. This also comes in the powder or the noodle form, like I just showed you guys the noodle. This is SCS in noodle form. So it comes either way. Again, I buy the powder just because I'm too lazy to freaking, grind up all those noodles. So this is going to produce a really dense and creamy foam, whereas the SCI is extremely moisturizing, really good for your hair products and cleansers. This is dense and creamy foam with the SCS. Okay, let's move on now to the SLSA, which is what most people use, what most people have, and what most people are familiar with. So the SLSA has a usage rate of 5 to 60% and roughly around a 6.3 on the pH scale. It is biodegradable and there is no sulfates in there, so don't be alarmed by the sodium lauryl sulfo acetate. It's not sulfate. It's sulfoacetate, which is completely different than the SLS, which is the sodium lauryl sulfate. SLSA also meets the EcoCert standards, and it is readily dissolvable in water. So this is going to give you way more bubbles than the other two. So it's really entirely up to you what you're trying to achieve when you're using your powdered surfactants. Lots and lots of bubbles. This is more moisturizing than the other two, And then this is going to give you a dense and creamy foam. So that's the differences between all of those. What on earth can we make with these suckers? All right. You guys, the sky is the limit, to be honest with you. It's really only limited by your imagination. You can make bath bombs, liquid and powdered bubble bath. You can make your own foaming bath butter. Oh, what else? Bubbling bath salts, bubble bars, bubble wands, bubble frosting, of course, which we're going to be getting into that in a little bit. You can make a foaming milk bath, foaming sugar scrubs, of course your shampoo bars, body wash, bubble scoops. It really is only limited by what you can conjure up in your own mind of what you want to create. If you need bubbles, use one of these, okay? Another thing to take into consideration when you're buying your SLSA is, do we want the fine or the coarse? Now, when you're buying the powders on the SCI and the SCS, it's really, really fine powder. It's so light and so fluffy. It's really, really light. Whereas this is heavier, denser. This, you're not going to be able to see this on camera very well. Here, let's see. You're not really going to be able to see that, but this is the coarse. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but this is the coarse. And when I want the finer, I just stick that in my grinder. It's not all that often that I want the fine one. Why would we choose fine over coarse? Again, it depends on what you want to make. If you want a smoother, harder product like a bath bomb or bubble frosting, for instance, then use the fine. If you want a product to be a little bit more soft and pliable, like a bubble scoop or a bubble bar, then use the coarse. When you are using the coarse, though, you may have to decrease any of your liquids that you're going to be using to mix everything. Okay, you guys, that does it on our little educational part of the video regarding all three of these powdered surfactants. Now, what are we going to do with them? Well, give me a moment and we'll find out.
A few moments later.
Okay, party people, we are ready to rock and roll over here. We're going to be making some bubble frosting. I have just a couple of donuts, a couple of waffles, and a bathtub. I did some demos the other day and I just needed to frost these real quick. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to give you guys this recipe. Now, in saying this, this is not the recipe that I use. This is a different recipe. It is a really good recipe. The reason why I'm not going to give you the one that I use is because it is a variation of the Dream Come True bubble frosting by DIY Bath. I forget the whole rest of their name, but anyways, they're on Etsy. I purchased this recipe from them probably 3 years ago now, maybe even 4 years ago now. It's been quite a long time. I have tweaked the ever-living bejeez out of it to get it to work for me. So it really doesn't even resemble their recipe any longer. It's been tweaked to the nth degree. Be that as it may, it still is a variation of their original recipe, and I just don't feel good about plastering that all over the internet. I see a lot of people who will tweak one or two different ingredients and then throw that up on the internet for other people. And listen, this is their means of making a living too, right? So I'm not trying to take away from that. That's why I'm not going to give it. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to give you guys this recipe. Like I said, it's a good recipe, works really well, pipes beautifully, dries nice and hard for you so you can package everything. So I'm going to leave this down below in the description, but get your pen and paper, guys, because I have scribbly wibblies and you're not going to be able to really make any sense out of what I have over here. Okay, we're going to start off with baking soda. I don't use baking soda in my bubble frosting, but the majority of creators do. Anyways, baking soda at 20%. As I already said before when we started the video, I always work in trifectas, synergistically. So I use the SCS and the SCI and the SLSA. For those of you that do not know the names of all of those ingredients, I did mention them in the beginning when we did the little educational portion of our video about those three different surfactants and what they offer to products. But I'll go ahead and let you guys know the name of those, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't know what these ingredients are. They've never heard of them before. So SCS is sodium cocoa sulfate. The SCI is sodium cocoyl isothianate. The SLSA is sodium lauryl sulfoacetate. Okay, so we've got 24% of that total. I split that up into 3, which gives me, in the batch I'm making, which is a teeny tiny small little 8-ounce batch, that's 0.64 ounce for each one of those. And there's 3 of them in here. Then we have our tapioca starch, 12%, kaolin clay, 2%, cream of tartar, 7%. Our liquid portion consists of cocoa betaine, which is cocamidal propyl betaine. People call it Cocoa B. Some people call it Bubble Up because a lot of suppliers sell it as Bubble Up. So in here, I've got 14% of Cocoa B. I've got 14% of 91% rubbing alcohol. And then I also have my fragrance. Wait, I said 14%, right? 14% of my alcohol. My scent is at 2% because I really don't, you know what I mean? You don't need to scent the frosting portion. Even 1% would be more than enough. And then I've got my melted cocoa butter at 5%. There's the recipe. Again, I'm going to be putting that down below. I'm going to put my mask on right now because of these powdered surfactants. I just have one of the small little N95s hanging around my neck. So bear with me just a second. Okay, so I've got my mask on now because these powders are going to waft up into the air. You do not want to breathe that kind of stuff in. I have my blender that I use for things like this. Like I use this to make my wax whip, and I cover up my blender in plastic just so it doesn't get all nasty. And then once I clean my utensils, I just keep them bagged up. Just makes me feel better knowing that everything is dust free when I go to use it again for the next time. So just stick that right in here, plop that in. All right, you guys, everything is in here. We're ready to roll. I've got my liquid ingredients. We're going to put those in first, and we're going to start whipping, okay? The entire situation right into the pool here. You can color your frosting if you would like to. You can use mica. You can use a liquid soap colorant. Normally, I don't color my frosting. Sometimes I do. Normally, I don't. As you can see how liquidy this is. But the more we start whipping this, the fluffier it's going to become. I just like to give it a nice little mix. I normally do this because I normally do like a 3.5 pound batch of this. Every time I make the bubble frosting, it's a 3.5 pound batch. This is only 8 ounces. So I will use my big stand mixer when I'm making my bubble frosting. So I don't usually do it over here, but for the sake of the film, I will. All right, let's start whipping this. So you can already see just by the very little bit of whipping that we just did, this is almost ready at this point to be piped already. But we need to add in our cocoa butter, don't we? Let's get that into the pool. Every last little drop. All right, let's give it another little whippy do. And just like that, you guys, this is ready to be piped. All right, we've got our little piping bag with our piping tip. This is a 2D, which is going to give you like the beautiful little ruffles. All right, give that a little bit of a twist. Stick that down into our cup. Fold these edges over. Stick your hand down in there to make some room. I can go ahead and take this mask down now, because any of the airborne powders pretty much are gone for this, for the main point. All right, let's get this into our piping bag so we can get going here. That whole thing right into the bag here. It smells good. And if you wanted this to be a little bit whiter, like I don't do that, but if you wanted to, go ahead and add a little bit of titanium dioxide. All right, let's get this out of here. Give it a couple of good shakes. Now we're going to use our pastry cutter Get all that frosting all the way to the bottom. Give it a little bit of a mush with your hand too to try to break up some of the bubbles. It's inevitable. You're going to have bubbles, period. It's just going to happen. All right, keep pushing a little bit until that starts to come out of the end. All right, let's get our contestants. Here we go. I don't know if I'm going to even have enough to do all of these, but at least we'll do a couple of them so you can see. All right, let's go ahead and do little Mr. Greenie here. Give it a little bit of a twist. Stick it between your fingers, whatever you're comfortable with, however you're comfortable handling this. A little bit of squeeze, help that come out of the bottom. I like to do a little blop right in the middle. Okay, and then we're just going to go all the way around. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But we're not done yet. We have to put a toy on there. My customer kiddos want their toys. Period. They just do. Look at that. Look at little Mr. Narwhal. Ain't he cute? All right, one down, a few more to go. Let's do another one of those donuts. Once again, I'm going to do a little blop in the middle. Oop. You can see how nice and creamy this is piping. I wouldn't say it's like buttercream frosting. It's a little stiffer than that, but still it's piping beautifully. I mean, that's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Fantastic. Wait, we're not done yet. Don't we need a toy? Well, we sure do. Let's put little Mr. Krabby. There you go, Mr. Krabby. There you go. Boop. All right, so there's a couple of the donuts. Let's do a waffle. Now, you can take your little pastry cutter again and start smoothing out some more of that frosting. Get that all down. Every little bit helps, you guys, you know. These ingredients are expensive. We do not like to waste them. All right. Get off of there. All right, for this one, I'm just gonna do a couple of little smaller blobs, and I'm gonna stick these strawberries. I've got some strawberry melt and pour, and this is my own homemade melt and pour from scratch. I don't buy bases. All right, so give a little blop here. One there, and one there. Stick our little strawberries in there. And there you go. Beautiful. You could put some drizzle on there if you wanted to, some cocoa butter drizzle. That would look really nice. All right, let's get you out of the way. Here comes the big guy. Save the big one for last because we've got a little mermaid doll that we're going to be putting into you. All right, so what I usually do for this is I'll put a little bit in the bottom to kind of act like as the glue that she's going to sit on. It doesn't matter as far as like any type of a design. You're not really trying to design anything. You just want her to be stuck in there in the bottom. Here's my little mermaid girl. Ain't she cute? All right, we're going to bend her, stick her in here. I always put their hands up in the air until after they're completely dry. Then I can put them down for packaging. Okay, you guys see? All right, so there's our little mermaid girl, and we're just going to continue to fill up her tub with some bubbles. All right, so just however you want to do it. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Put a little bit more right here, and we'll try to save a little bit more for this other donut, or the waffle rather. All right, that's good enough. Now, remember I told you guys before about how you can use the SCI noodles or the SCS noodles and color them so that you have sprinkles. So that's exactly what I've done here. I've got red and green sprinkles that are made using the SCS noodles. and I covered them with True Red Mica from Nature's Garden, and this one was Shamrock Green from Make Your Own. So I'm just going to take some of these sprinkles and sprinkle them on my little lady here, my little mermaid girl. All right, so that's good enough for her. Now we got just enough left. I don't have enough left to do that other red donut, but that's okay. Just enough left to just do a little bit of a dollop right in the middle here of this green one. We're not going to put a toy on this one or any type of fruit or anything. Just a little dollop right in the middle, just to try to get rid of this excess. I mean, there's such a little teeny tiny little bit amount. It's really not going to look very good as far as the design is concerned, but that's okay. I don't really worry about that. All right, let's take a couple of these little green sprinkles, since Patty's Day is coming up, and give them a little bit of a sprinkle too. Okay. There we are, guys. Got a little bit of frosting on him. Okay, there we are. We've got all of our bath bombs all frosted up and ready for their debut to some lucky little boy or girl who's gonna enjoy their tub time. That's gonna do it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been long coming. People have been asking and asking and asking for the bubble frosting, and this is a good recipe, like I said. So this is gonna harden up probably in about 2 full days. And I know that sounds like a really long time, especially when you're in production mode and you need stuff to dry overnight so you can package it. Now, the other recipe that I use all the time, which is the variation of the Dream Come True, that does harden the next day. I'm ready to package the very next day. This one just takes just a little bit longer, but trust me, it hardens up just fine. Again, I'm going to leave that recipe down below so you guys don't have to try to remember what it is I said or keep on backing the video up, to get that. I'll put all of that stuff down below. But if you did enjoy this video and you found it helpful in any way, please give it 2 thumbs up, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, whatever it is you guys feel like you want to do, okay? It would help me out a lot to get my videos out in front of more people. Other than that, you guys, that's going to do it for today's edition of What's Cooking. So, till next time.